We know it. We met the standard and then some, and the only one with courage to stand up is the governor and the mayor appointees, and everybody else runs and hides. Go run and hide. Because what you did, the benefits you denied this community and this city and state, you have to live with that history forever.
That is SL Green CEO Mark Holliday, who has a reported net worth of over $100 million. Why is he upset? Because he didn't get his way. Take a wild guess who was the face of Holliday's newest venture.
Okay, I think we've passed kneeling. I think everyone knows what the issue is, and we're done with that.
That would be Jay-Z, who recently hosted an event and appeared to choose to sit with none other than Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump at his table. Also in attendance for the Atlantic City Gala was Travis Scott, Kevin Hart, Meek Mill, DJ Khaled, Quavo, Emma Roberts, the Green Bay Packers' Micah Parsons, Odell Beckham Jr., and many more. A ton of people voiced their critiques on the optics of this as a window into much more.
Jay-Z was actually hosting this event last night, and as you can see, he's sitting at the same table, and here's Ivanka, here's Jared Kushner, but here's also Desiree Perez. And I think a lot of you guys are forgetting Donald Trump is the one that pardoned Desiree Perez. And Desiree Perez is the CEO of Roc Nation. So it really shouldn't shock that many people. This event is hosted to raise money for prison reform. And when you're a billionaire, you are going to be rubbing shoulders with a lot of other billionaires. People are not sitting well with this because they know that Jay-Z hosted this event, and they feel like since he hosted it, they're obviously okay with being around Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner.
A lot of people are talking about Beyonce and Jay-Z being cozied up with the Kushners at a fundraiser that they hosted for criminal justice reform, which plainly makes no sense. The Kushners care about criminal justice reform. But I think the more interesting story is Jay-Z being blocked from building a casino in Times Square, because Jay-Z really tried to argue that building a casino would be good for Black people. And this is the issue with Jay-Z, Beyonce, and many Black capitalists, is they will do things that are only meant to benefit them and then try to act like it is something for the collective. If Black capitalists want to lean into the hyper-individualism of the moment and do things only meant to benefit them, have at it, I guess. But to continue to act like this is for Black people, like this is in any way going to lead to our liberation, is not just ridiculous, but I think actively harmful, because it gives people the idea that you can just individualism your way out of oppression, and that's not the case. We are in a very dark moment, and the only way that we get out of this is by working collectively for our collective liberation and prosperity. If Jay-Z and Beyonce want to be a part of that, they can start by redistributing their wealth and investing not in philanthropy, but actual community-based solutions that address the problems all of us face, like lack of education, lack of transportation, lack of housing, lack of food.
Beyonce and Jay-Z are sitting at a table at a gala next to Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. Yes, they are in class solidarity with these individuals. They are not in class solidarity with our working class. They are comfortable being next to these people in positions of power because they want more of it. I think we just need to realize that our faves are not our friends. Like, we do not know these people. Yes, some people will say, well, it's in the music. It was in the music. And then what happened? What era are we in right now? And before you argue, oh, this was a seating arrangement thing. No. You're telling me two of the most powerful artists in the industry can't request a seat away from Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump. They don't see it as an issue, again, because they are not in class solidarity with us.
Speaking of the word capitalist.
Before was the American dream. Pull yourself out of bootstraps and you can make it in America. All these lies that America told us our whole life. And then when we start getting it, they try to lock us out of it. They start inventing words like, capitalist and, things like that. I mean, we've been called monkeys. I don't care. Those words y'all come up with, y'all got to come up with stronger words. We're not going to be tricked out of our position. Y'all locked us out. Y'all created a system that, doesn't include us. We said, fine. We went our alternate route. We created this music. We did our thing. We hustled, killed ourselves to get to this space. And, now it's like, eat the rich. And think, man, we're not stopping.
He equated it to a slur. Okay. On the Times Square casino, the proposal that was backed by Hove, Caesar's Palace, and Holiday lost its bid because of the will of the people and those working in Broadway. They were worried about the dent it would put into the theater industry. Al Sharpton, the civil rights icon and MSNBC host, who campaigned for Jay-Z in an effort to pressure the board into voting for its approval, called the theater kids, and I quote, oligarchs. My guy, you are on the side of a billionaire. Who is the oligarch in this equation, man? From Fortune, the local board approval was required for the proposal to be considered by the State Gaming Commission, which plans to award up to 3 licenses for New York City area casinos in the month of December. They made their case, as people always do when doing this stuff, on revenue and jobs. However, evidence from other urban areas suggests that the tax revenue projections of casino companies often prove to be overstated and that the economic benefits of casinos fade over time, wrote the New York Times. Furthermore, Lucy Dedayan, a senior research associate with the Urban Institute, a research organization, would say the benefits of casinos are quite short-lived, and the only way for states to realize sustained growth in gambling tax revenue is to open more casinos or legalize new forms of gambling, like online or even in the sports betting realm. When there's a new casino opening around the corner, Dedayan said, people go and try it for the novelty. After some time, as short as 1 year, it wears off. I saw quotes, by the way, from Jay-Z where he said that they wouldn't compete with Broadway. They would be in unison and they would complement one another. Not really. Jonathan Krutz, an emeritus professor at Boise State University who has studied casinos for 30 years, would publish a paper that studied casinos from the years 2002 to 2017 and over 39 states. He found that local economies with casinos did not experience faster growth in retail sales than those without casinos. He would conclude that casinos didn't typically attract new money, cannibalizing from existing businesses instead. We continue to hear this over and over, right? Jobs. It's going to do big numbers with jobs. We're going to add so many jobs. Research would show the median average income of a casino worker is a little over $29,000. Considering what we have seen, and Jerome Powell even stating that inflation has gone up because of Donald Trump, our cost of living is going up. Our grocery prices are going up. Remember when he said they were going to go down? Everything is getting more expensive. And you want to add jobs for $29,000 a year, man? In New York? I mean, make it make sense, because it doesn't.
Jay-Z's Roc Nation is spearheading a new $300 million educational campaign in Philadelphia, but it's not what it seems. Jay-Z's Roc Nation unveiled the campaign called the Pennsylvania Award for Student Success. It's aimed at promoting a new school voucher program for Philadelphia K-12 students from low-income households. For context, vouchers have been controversial nationwide, but especially in Pennsylvania, where Republicans have painted them as a way to help students leave underperforming schools. On the other side, Democrats and teachers' unions oppose sending taxpayer money to private schools, believing the money should instead be invested in the public education system. One of the largest teachers' unions in the United States, AFT Pennsylvania, responded to the news, tweeting, quote, "This ain't it. And for good measure, here's a still of Jay-Z and Jeffrey Yass, PA's richest man, potential Trump Treasury Secretary, and the force behind the voucher push in Pennsylvania." The president of the AFT then said, quote, "The crisis in public education funding in America could have been solved a long time ago if billionaires like Jeff Yass and Jay-Z simply paid their fair share in taxes, instead of robbing needed money from public schools to fund failed voucher schemes which hurt poor kids."
According to the National Education Association, which is actually the largest union in the United States, the labor union, they say that this voucher system actually gives to private school institutions money that is now not accountable to taxpayers. They also say that that means public school students have this: less access to musical instruments, science equipment, modern technology, textbooks, after-school programs. There's zero statistical evidence, zero, that voucher programs improve overall student success. In fact, the opposite is true. Research has shown that students who use voucher programs leave a public school system and attend a private school system, they do worse academically, especially in math.
So this is happening in
The final thing that I'll say about that is vouchers mostly fund wealthy families. They are overwhelmingly the recipients of the vouchers.
Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYT Sports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.
I got a studio audience question from Lee Shapiro. Lee's a tough guy. Lee says, what's the biggest mistake you think you've made in the first 100 days?
I'll tell you, that's the toughest question I can have because I don't really believe I've made
You
mistakes.
made any mistakes.
We're in a transition period.
On News Nation, these three chatted with Donald Trump. To anyone watching this with half a brain, it was quite clear it did not go well for the current president.
Mr. President, thank you for your time. It's interesting that you brought up Harvard because when people think about Harvard, what they're basically talking about is they're asking, what do you say to those who view your actions as an attack on academic freedom rather than a defense of fairness? What do you say to that?
Well, I say this: we had riots in Harlem, in Harlem, and frankly, if you look at what's gone on, and people from Harlem went up and they protested, Stephen, and they protested very strongly against Harvard. They happened to be on my side. You know, I got a very high black vote. You know that. Very, very high black vote. It was a very great compliment to me. I did criminal justice reform. I did opportunity zones for one of the greatest economic deals ever for the black and Hispanic community. I got tremendous. They agree with what I'm doing with respect to Harvard.
To be clear, he was asked about Harvard. Harvard, not Harlem, Harvard. There were three headlines that really just stuck out to me. One was, as we know, Trump's mental decline. It's fairly obvious since we saw him run in 2016. Some are calling his brain mashed potatoes. Mediaite, along with The Independent, reported on it correctly, as did, surprisingly, TMZ, which shows me a lot. There was also the moment where Trump said, and I quote, "a very high black vote," and the camera was stuck on Stephen A. Smith's stone cold face. Another moment, I guess you could say. And to be clear, because we know how loud and wrong the right-wing media ecosystem is, one pollster said if Biden was asked a question about Harvard and went on a long rant about Harlem, it would be front-page news, and Republicans would be drawing up articles of impeachment. Trump is suffering severe mental decline, and it's about time it gets the attention it deserves. Because guess what? It's true. It is an uneven playing field that we have here. Trump is allowed to mix up names. The leader of Apple, Tim Cook, he called Tim Apple, which honestly was a funny moment. In a deposition, he thought E. Jean Carroll was Marla Maples, his ex-wife. Another moment. He played DJ at a town hall in Philadelphia. You remember that? Where he was on stage with Kristi Noem, belting out lyrics instead of holding the town hall for about 30 minutes. One Cornell expert said it is an example of mental decline. He refused a second debate with Kamala Harris. We probably know why. And he failed to recite his line of person, woman, man, camera, TV. Remember that when he said he aced the test, did the best performance in the test ever. That was on April 14th of this year. He couldn't remember that one either.
A series of rough polls this week, and I'm wondering how you process that. Does it hurt your feelings when you see numbers come in that are not what you'd like them to be?
Well, first of all, they're fake polls. And if you take a look at the polls, they interviewed more, and for the most part, they interviewed more Democrats than they did Republicans, which is ridiculous and unfair. And Democrats aren't voting for Trump. And you look at him, John McLaughlin, who's the most respected pollster, said I'm at 50, 55, and maybe even higher than that. And he said that these polls are largely fake. When you look at the New York Times, when you look at the Washington Post, ABC, they predicted I was going to lose Wisconsin by 17 points, and they ended up winning Wisconsin. They predicted I was going to lose the election, and I ended up winning the election. They're fake polls, number one. And I think it's a very important thing to know that and to understand it. And because polls are no different than fake writers or journalism, and it's not a pretty thing.
Let's also be blunt. John McLaughlin is a Republican pollster. So to be clear, because we have seen these attacks for a long time, if you agree with him and you show him support and lend your own credibility to him and applaud him and just suck up to him in any way, you get a pass and you are seen as a great person, a smart person, a favorable person. But if you're Terry Moran, who fact checks the president in real time over Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was wrongfully deported, that he has MS-13 tattoos, which he does not, and saying those are real tattoos when they are photoshopped, he says, give me a break. I'm giving you the biggest break of your life. I've never heard of you. Terry Moran's been in media for decades. Incredible journalist. And he went after Moran's character and told him, you're not being too nice. Because he's stating the truth. How many more examples do we possibly need of not just the bias of having people like Dom LeCrae, who you should know, was in a MAGA influencer press room with Caroline Leavitt, and why he got suspended from Twitter, and the amount of Republicans who do not call this out and call themselves constitutionalists, where your boy wants to run for a third term. It's remarkable. When do the articles of impeachment get written, is my question.
Stephen A. Smith may run for president, as you know. I hope. Do you have any advice for Stephen A. If he launches the run?
No, Stephen A. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. I love watching him. He's got great entertainment skills, which is very important. People watch him. You know, a lot of these Democrats I watch, I say they have no chance. I've been pretty good at picking people and picking candidates, and I will tell you, I'd love to see him run.
All right, there you go.
Let's cut through the teeth of what he said, okay? He likes Stephen A. Smith because Trump associates ratings with winning or success. He loves Hollywood. He loves the Nielsen ratings. Everything that he thinks when, let's be clear, in 2020, all sports ratings were down. You know why? Because the protests were happening. Trump was making a ASS of himself every single day. police were beating up media. They were beating up peaceful protesters. And then you had people that were also trying, while their mental health was declining, stay alive because of the pandemic. When the NBA saw a slippage, he attacked them for the worst ratings ever. Oh, they can't get any ratings. You know why? It's the BLM, blah, blah, blah. This is all he talks about all the time. That's why when he says stuff, I truly do believe he wants to know how many views it got on a certain outlet or a certain tweet or a certain Truth Social post. He is in the analytics like a content creator, and he cares about those numbers. He cares about poll numbers, don't get me wrong, but he also cares about being in the spotlight. In that call, that booty call, accidental, that he made to, I believe, a reporter, he said, I run the country, I run the world. That's how he views this stuff. He wants to be the most highly rated person. And when he sees Stephen A. Smith, he sees someone who gets exactly what he is looking for, but also what he values. The thing is this run legitimate by Stephen A. Smith? What do you make of all this Stephen A. Smith for president chatter?
So it's funny because I hate that it's a conversation because it has become such a conversation. Even I am forced to talk about it, not just on this platform, but I'll be talking about it on my YouTube show for sure. I guess, I just refuse to believe it. I just really do. I'm skeptical. I'm not calling Stephen A. a liar. I am skeptical, and I would love to know who are these people that are saying, Stephen A. Smith, you should run for president. Well, one, we have to, this is sort of one of the byproducts of the person that we have in office now, is that understandably, it has given people a lot of confidence that they can also run for president. And in an age and a time where the disrespect for actual expertise is at an all-time high, and we're constantly, there's an anti-intellectual movement. And I'm not saying that Stephen A. is not an intellectual, and nor am I coming after him in terms of his,
I know what you're saying.
His ability. So I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying in general, the mood in the country is that expertise is bad, to be smart is bad, to have experience in something is bad, that, you have people on social media that will sit up there and argue with a renowned scientist about, something in their field, and will leave there thinking they're smarter than them. And I'm just like, how did we get here?
Former ESPN host and ex-co-worker of Smith's, Jamil Hill, joined me on my podcast, The Rick Strom Show, which you all should go subscribe to. And she basically said she's not buying it.
I guess some of it comes from the fact that people have a deep distrust of government, something they have earned. And now everybody is thinking, well, the new government needs to be the anti-government. It means to be somebody with no political experience whatsoever, that has never run for government office. Like, that person will be true to politics. They will be true to the system. They will stand up for us. People, we have seen too many examples that, politics is actually a skill.
Yeah.
It does require you have some level of expertise in this, especially when we're talking about geopolitical affairs. I try to throw a shot, but this is the same dude who in his field of expertise referred to Cade Cunningham as Wade Cunningham. But that's who you want to put in charge of massive geopolitical matters. I'm just saying.
Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYT Sports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.